I love being able to play games together with my family, whether they are games we can play while sitting together on the couch or online. This means that I'm always on the lookout for new games to try to play together when we get the chance. Not all games that you can play with friends and family are equal. Some are amazing and can give you almost endless amounts of fun. Others are fun for a time, but wear thin after a while, and some just aren't that much fun to start with. Nom Nom Galaxy is a game that I've been playing with my kids online over the last 2 summers. We finally finished it up this year, so let's take a look at where it lands on the range between endless fun and not much fun at all. Nom Nom Galaxy is a sandbox style game with elements of platforming, base building, and tower defense developed by Q Games. It was released in 2015 and is available for both PC and the PS4. It is $9.99 on Steam and $14.99 on the PlayStation Store. It is also E for everyone, so there really isn't anything to worry about content-wise for this game. In the far future, one industry faces a great battle to see who can climb to the top and be the dominant force on the market. This industry is so important that even great battles have been fought between companies so they can come out on top. This industry is the soup industry. Do you have what it takes to bring Soupco to the place of soup dominance in the universe? Well, I very much wrote that to be ironically serious. This is pretty much the story of Nom Nom Galaxy. You take the role of a lowly astro worker building factories and creating new soups to send out to various planets that are full of potential customers. There really isn't much of a story other than going from planet to try to defeat another soup corporation on your way to galactic dominance of the soup market. It's silly and ultimately shallow, but you can't claim that it's not unique. It's an interesting premise for a game, but definitely isn't going to be what carries the game for most people. Given that the story is a bit heavy on the broth and light on the ingredients, the gameplay of Nom Nom Galaxy is where the heavy lifting is going to have to take place. While I would say that the gameplay is fairly solid, it doesn't quite have the depth or fun value to carry the game to greatness. The base gameplay, at least for the main campaign, is to travel from planet to build your soup factory and send out enough soup both in quality and quantity to capture 100% of the market. This means that most levels start in a similar way, setting up your main office and then building some soup makers and soup rockets to start your soup production. To do this, you need matter. Early on, this is earned by digging in spots that have little squares in the dirt. You then need to build any new construction connected to your office, which provides power to your factory. Soup machines are where you create your soups. You need to find 2 ingredients on the map and combine them together to create a new soup. If you create a new one, you'll unlock a new recipe, and you'll be able to create a soup machine for that soup from the build menu. I never really used this feature, as I always found it easier to just build an empty soup maker and then fill it with ingredient combos that we found on the planet as we went along. You also need soup rockets, which will send your newly created soup to your hungry customers. When your soup is done, you just pick it up and take it to the rocket and send it away. The rocket does take a little bit of time to actually get to the planet that it's making its delivery and then come back to get ready for another load. So you will probably need to build a number of soup rockets. I think we normally had 2 or 3. And this is pretty much the gameplay loop that every level will be built off of to some degree. As you develop your soup empire, your base may get attacked by enemy units sent by a rival soup company. You will have to fight them off either directly or by turrets that you will unlock as you progress through the game. These guys will typically drop both matter and money. Money is a resource that allows you to buy turrets to help protect your base, robots that help automate your base, and other various upgrades like new weapons or vehicles. While some of these are really useful, like turrets and robots for automation, I largely found vehicles a massive waste of resources. Maybe I just didn't know how to optimize their usage, but they ran out of fuel very quickly and required more money to refuel. It just felt like a waste most of the time. Some levels also have certain variations that will not allow you to buy robots or will have a higher rate of enemy attacks. Sometimes you'll even start with a office already on the planet and then you kind of have to find where that office is and then build there. So there's just kind of little variations, but still, like, it's ultimately about building your base and sending soup, and there's not really any differences on that base core gameplay. To start, the gameplay loop here is fun and enjoyable. By the end of the game, though, the loop started to wear out its welcome a little bit. It wound up getting old, having to restart from scratch every hour or so after you finish one planet. While the added upgrades and variations did mix things up a little, they didn't really change that much, and sometimes even made the game more frustrating. It wasn't necessarily that it was more challenging, it just made things more annoying to do, and that's just not always the most fun. It was also sometimes hard to do things with any sense of precision. A lot of your digging will be done by this saw blade that you can extend out to dig through dirt, hit enemies, and even harvest some ingredients. The only thing is that it's very imprecise. So it can be easy to take out dirt that you didn't really want to remove, and the only way to do anything too precisely is to pick up a square of dirt one block at a time. And this was tedious, and even placing the blocks back down wasn't smooth or as precise as I would have liked. So all of this made for a decent foundation of gameplay that just got a little old after 26 different planets. The little flaws around the foundation could also make some aspects of the game just a little frustrating at times. It is fun for a while, but it's just not going to impress anyone too greatly long term. Nom Nom Galaxy has a very interesting art style. It has an interesting color palette and an almost retro science fiction kind of feel. It's a very unique style overall. Some of the most fun designs for me were the various food creatures that were in the game, from sausage bowls to pineapple fish. I thought they were fun designs and were amusing when discovered for the first time. The art style I thought was kind of fun and unique, and while it may not be for everyone, I thought that it was enjoyable. Sound was more forgettable in my mind. About the only music that really comes to mind is the upbeat version of the Mexican hat dance that will play occasionally, and when looking into it, that may actually be changed in the PC version of the game. Otherwise, it was mostly background kind of music that didn't really stand out all that much. The other sounds are okay, but nothing is really too stand out. You'll get used to hearing the sounds of soup rockets lifting off and alarms for enemy attacks, and the sounds of your robots doing their little automated duties, but otherwise it's nothing amazing. It's all okay, it's all functional, it's all part of the experience, but I don't think it's anything that's going to leave you like amazed at the sound direction. Nom Nom Galaxy is a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. It has a silly premise of galactic soup corporations fighting it out to be the supreme soup company in all the universe, and while this premise is amusing and the base gameplay mechanics are competent, the game is also just a bit shallow and lacks the complexity that you might be looking for in a base building game like this. It was fun to play through with my family, and we largely enjoyed ourselves in finding new soup recipes and figuring out what ingredients were available in the different worlds. However, the repetitive nature of having to restart a base at the beginning of every level wore a bit thin after a while. Maybe doing the endless mode would have been more fun, but there still really isn't that much variety in building components to make a base that would be much different either. Again, the game is just not that deep. And that's why I'm giving Nom Nom Galaxy a 7 out of 10. We had fun with Nom Nom Galaxy, but once you get the flow of the game, there really isn't too much more to get. Sure, some ingredients may be harder to get or require a trick to acquire, but most ingredients are pretty straightforward. By the end of the campaign, we were just kind of ready to be done with the game. Nom Nom Galaxy falls more in the category of a game that is fun for a while, but loses that fun factor over time. You can only set up the same-ish base so many times before the experience loses its luster. There is just a lack of options and complexity that holds Nom Nom Galaxy back. It was a fun time, but it's just not a game I could play over and over with the same level of fun.